people saying that the federal government are trying to reduce the fuel price and coming back into 87 without subsidy.
There are fears that the price of fuel in Nigeria might change again in the wake of disagreement between marketers and the federal government. So we will review the pricing template of petroleum product in Nigeria this morning on TVC Breakfast. Right, thanks for joining us. It's a lovely Friday morning and welcome to TVC Breakfast. I am Mike Okwacha.
A very good morning to you. I am Ngozi Alebu. Other issues we'll be looking at this morning on the show.
You always has a point of duty before you broadcast or before you publish to tell them that, look, we have this story. What do you have to say? Possibly the fact they have might not be right, or what they have is correct.
It's still a long-drawn battle of professionalism between the media and the Nigerian army regarding how journalists report the fight against insurgents.
If the big companies we have in this country can support most of the club in this country, that means we can build up of good players.
Will private participation truly help the growth of Nigerian football clubs? And how well can local league grow to the enviable status of other established leagues in the world? Those are questions we will be asking our team of analysts this morning on Talk Time.
Now, TVC Breakfast discussions begin in a moment. You know, when it comes to anytime you mention the possibility of prices of petroleum going up, oh my God.
It sends jitters down your spine and
then
you begin to rush.
with that alone, there are people who go to buy jerry cans, big jerry cans, because they want to stockpile petroleum, just out of panic.
Indeed, and the question really is, to what extent is it a function of hoarding that the fuel price continues to go up? Remember the last time, I think it was May last year, when the price went to 145 naira per litre. All of a sudden, all the filling stations started selling. And you wonder, where did the fuel appear from? Just like...
Big question every time. And overnight, those who didn't sell for the past 1 week, overnight, I begin to wonder, where did this product come from?
And now we're hearing that landing cost of fuel is somewhere around 144 and 145 naira. So how realistic is it that we'll continue to buy at this price?
And the question of how transparent, all of those things, are also questions. All right, let's get into our first big story. The board of the Petroleum Products Pricing Agency, the PPRA, met on Thursday to consider the review of Nigeria's petroleum pricing template. Now,
reports say this is due to recent developments in the petroleum sector, such as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, indirectly subsidizing petrol prices, and evidences of fuel scarcity popping up around the country.
Indeed. That's what we will be looking at. But let's take the story of petroleum pricing to the streets of Sokoto, where residents had to queue for hours before they could get the products during the 3-day nationwide warning strike observed by the National Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers.
The 3-day warning strike called by the national leadership of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPEN, but have come and gone. But in Sokoto State, the effect of the strike is still biting hard. Long vehicular queues in major petrol stations within the metropolis has become a daily occurrence. Black marketers are having a field day, selling fuel at exorbitant prices, as major fuel stations in the metropolis claim to have no new supplies of the petroleum product. This has made life difficult for most residents in the seat of the caliphate. It has prompted accusation and a blame game with all fingers pointing to the independent marketers in the state.
And we look at what is happening in Sokoto, and it's only typical in Sokoto. Other states, what's happening in Sokoto in regards to fuel scarcity is not obtainable there. I talk to these oil marketers, and there's no reason why these people should make life very hard for people in Sokoto State.
I find it very difficult. The fuel is selling at the cost of 2,000 naira per gallon. A liter is 180 to 200 naira, which is very bad. It has to affect the common man.
But the marketers have absorbed themselves of any blame, insisting the current scarcity of petroleum products in the state is due to logistic problems.
Well, it's not true. It's just because we are far away from the loading depots. We are bringing fuel from Lagos. So after the strike, before we started having our product, it will take time.
The Sokoto state government has stepped now into the matter and is prepared to collaborate with major stakeholders to ensure that fuel queue disappear.
We decided to go around and see for ourselves, and alhamdulillah, we can able to address the situation. Fuel will be available within this week.
2 weeks running, residents in Sokoto state have been subjected to untold hardship following the fuel scarcity that has lingered in the state. But the state government and major stakeholders in the oil sector says they have teamed up to see to the end of the unfortunate development in order to bring succor to the people of the state. Suleiman Nasser, TBC News, Sokoto.
All right, joining us now is the Southwest Zonal Chairman of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Tokumbo Korodo. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Now, efficient pricing of petroleum products has always been a challenge for Nigeria in spite of Nigeria's position in the global oil market. Why do we continue to be in this vicious cycle?
Well, I think it has been public to me before now that some are perceiving the imminent, this kind of fuel scarcity as a result of sharp drop in the supply chain of NNPC nationwide. You know, I can remember when last I was with you people there, I also made mention that the way manner NNPC abandoned System 2B in the southwest here, and this is the only System 2B that has been sustaining the nation when we have a fuel scarcity. So they abandoned it with an excuse because of the activities of funders. And most of the fuel we are seeing in circulation is being brought in by only NNPC. None of the marketers are complementing the efforts of NNPC. And NNPC is bringing it. They don't even have the facility to distribute these products. And the only facility that has been helping, that has been sustaining their distribution is the one they recently closed down. So because of the activities of funders. How long are we going to run away, or are we going to be at the mercy of these funders? So it calls for answer. And I believe if NNPC, the present leadership of NNPC, they say they are in to effect a better change. We can't say because we are anticipating that we want to produce locally, and we don't even allow the production to start before we start blocking this and that. You can't put all your things in one basket and believe that things will work magically.
All right, Tokumbo, let me ask you this direct question. Should Nigerians expect the increase in the price of petroleum products in the coming days?
Well, I cannot confirm that because I'm not one of the policy makers. But I'm only talking as an insider and also as a stakeholder that knows and also observing what is going on in our industry. You go to Apapa now, you will see a long queue of tankers, even on the bridges. It is not that everybody is happy to be there, because there's no way, and this is the only state that is complementing and also supplying this product to everywhere. As you said earlier, look at the long queue in Sokoto. People around here, cannot get the fuel the way they want it. And look at the cost of diesel for the transportation. It is very, very high and alarming. And the same amount they are paying when the diesel was being sold for 160 naira. It's still the same amount they are paying when the diesel that will be meant for the distribution is also being paid when the price is 250 naira per liter. Look at that gap. And the transporters are crying, everybody's are crying. And God forbid bad things. If the tanker owner install their drivers to park their truck because the business is no longer lucrative. Well, it is meant, this decision is for the policymakers. Let them come out and tell us why Nigeria, that's why we have this product, we should be suffering for it all the time.
Very good question there. Hopefully somebody will answer that.
Of course, someone has to.
Nigeria's petroleum pricing template was last reviewed in May of 2016, but the increase in crude oil prices and a further depreciation of the naira against the dollar has necessitated the call for a review.
And that month, the federal government removed fuel subsidy, which saw an end to government's only palliative to make fuel cheaper and more accessible to the masses. Now, the federal government then deregulated the oil market and left the product pricing mechanism to the market forces of demand and supply.
Now, literally, oil marketers determine the fuel or the price of fuel based on the cost of refining and importing the product back to Nigeria. Now, simply put, the higher the cost of refining and importation, the more expensive the price of the product will be. Now, with a continuous fall in the value of the naira against the dollar, which is the currency the marketers use in transacting their refining and importation business abroad, they incur more cost, and with the prevailing price template, they run at a loss. Now, this means the current price no longer matches the realities on the ground.
Yeah, that's what Tokunbo Corridor is explaining to us. Now, this also implies that except the federal government reintroduces fuel subsidy, the price of fuel may have to be reviewed upward from the current 145 naira per litre. But unions in the petroleum industry have opposed an increase in petroleum prices. Now, the House of Representatives has also criticized the administrative charge of 30 kobo per litre collected by the PPPRA, calling it unnecessary.
All right, let's bring in more perspectives to the discussion. Globally, in the oil market, there are key pricing dimensions. They include the following. Subsidies, just like we had in Nigeria, it is the government's way of paying for availability of a product at a cheaper price. Now pass through. Now this takes care of domestic pricing fluctuations. Any international pricing changes pass through to the domestic prices. I wonder what that is.
Well, these are terminologies. But another one there is transparency. This refers to the system of pricing, regulation and control. It should be open. It's talking about being open. And this dimension is interested in the degree to which it is actually so. Then enforcement. This concerns the degree to which fuel pricing actually follows officially adopted energy pricing arrangements.
All right, and so many issues there. Now, also globally in the oil market, there are key pricing mechanisms. They include the following. Market-based pricing. Here, demand and supply usually determine the price, while government does not interfere in the process. Then you have all manner of other things that will, of course, let you into. But let's bring in Tokunbo Corridor. Tokunbo, can you be as direct or upfront with us as possible? Is there an inevitability when it comes to increasing the price of fuel? Now we hear that landing cost is somewhere around 144 and 145 naira.
It's a big question for me as a person to answer, because with what we are getting, the feeling we are getting from the marketers and the way a manner it is being operated in the industry, me, I'm spelling rat, because this is the same people that is out of business. I mean, the marketers, they cannot bring in product on their own. They only assist NNPC to distribute through a throughput arrangement with their facility. So, and don't you think we may likely have sabotage here and there when they cannot have access to forest, and the NNPC is the only one that have access to forest and bringing it. And we all know the price at the international market. And when they bring in such products, and it is as higher than the present price in Nigeria, then and they are still selling the same price, the template government created, then who is paying the difference? Which means government may be paying subsidy to government. That one call for answer, therefore answer. So I cannot say categorically. It is better the major stakeholders, the marketers, and also the NNPC. They should come out to Nigerians in a very brighter terms and tell Nigeria what exactly is happening. We too will still lobby to get one or two facts. No, officially, nobody has been communicated and nobody has been discussed with. The discussion going on is between the marketers and also the NNPC.
All right, Tokubo, we'll come back to this shortly. Let's go out on TVC Entertainment. Viewers there can continue with TVC Breakfast on TVC Nigeria on Concert Channel 190 and DSTV Channel 418.
Of course, you can continue to watch the show on GoTV 45 and ACTV 510. Stay with us.
All right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are discussing on this segment the price template for petroleum in the country, in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians don't seem to understand how these things work. We have joining us on phone Tokubo Korodo. He's the National Vice Chairman, Southwest of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, and he's been educating us and talking to us about this. Now, Korodo, let me ask you also in clear terms in here, from what you said before we went on break, Nigerians feel that a lot and lots of how the deals go down in the oil sector is not open. Will you confirm that that there is no enough transparency in the oil sector?
Well, I don't think there's no transparency. We have better transparency in the industry. It is only that when some policies are being taken and majority or other stakeholders are not properly carried along before implementation of such policy, then everybody will be suspicious of one another. So, but since this present government come on board, I think I can say they are trying their best. Only that their best is not enough for Nigeria for now. So they need to work more on the little best they are doing. I know they meant well for the nation, but the agitation from Nigerians are very, very high. They also need to quickly rise up to that challenge and get things resolved for Nigerians.
Now, in November of 2016, Kachiku had said that the federal government was going to review the price template. Has that been done yet? What do we know about that?
Well, you know, I've said it earlier before we went on break, that the discussion is still between the government, the NNPC, and the marketers, because there are a lot of things that need to be corrected, especially how to be addressed, especially in terms of this forest. Forest has been a major concern for the marketers. And most of these marketers, because there is no forest, and they cannot even go into the business with the black market forest. So the landing cost will be very, very high. And that is exactly what is also affecting kerosene and even diesel that has been deregulated. Because the price they brought in, the way they got the forest, and that is the explanation they are giving everybody in the industry. So if subsidy is so loose, we may have a very, very high price in petrol price. So maybe that is exactly what the government is trying to regulate. And when we are trying to regulate it, and they think there is need to revisit subsidy, well, I don't know. So the most important thing is the government and the market need to fast track whatever discussion they may be having, because Nigeria are very, very unhappy about the whole economic situation of the country.
There seems to be some kind of confusion. On the one hand, we hear from government that it will allow market forces of demand and supply determine the price of petrol. And then again, you have PPPRA on the one hand, that fixes a price ceiling. Aren't these contradictory in terms?
Well, to me, it is. But, when you are, nobody clap with one hand. You cannot clap with a hand. You have to join the two hands together. So, maybe it's also a carrot and stick approach. Government is also adopting this system. Because you cannot regulate what you cannot provide. And we thank God when government came up, NNPC came up with an information that this year, locally, we are going to produce 60%. Okay, we agree. If we can produce 60%, if at all we are going to bring in any product, it will be a very small quantity to augment what we are producing locally. But a situation whereby we've not even started, and the only source we are getting the product, we block it. Then we bound to have scarcity. So government should still open up the situation. Let's see our local production going on unabated. Then when we have the storage to sustain in case we have any shortcoming from the imported fuel, then we can now rely on the storage we have. Look at I've said it, look at the Atlasco. That's a big storage for NNPC. And from Atlasco, they pump to Mosimi. From Mosimi, then they distribute to all depots in System 2B. For the past 9 months, I'm still repeating it, for 9 months, go to these depots, they are ghost area. Nothing is moving. And this is the same system that sustained the entire nation when we faced serious fuel scarcity last year and upper year.
So should we conclude then that the 40% set aside by the CBN, 40% of Forex, has not really made any difference? Has this been justified so far, can you say?
I cannot see any justification so far because I've not seen enough products. I'm a practical person. I'm on ground and I can tell you, get to the depots now in Apapa. For example, these are the private-owned depots. We have over 50 of them in Apapa. How many of them are loading petrol? Less than 10. What happened to others? And these 10 that are loading, it is not the owner that brought in the product, it is an NPC product on throughput arrangement.
All right. Anyway, Tokumbo, we'll come back to you on this. Let's bring in Fola Dele to give us a perspective of reaction on social media. Fola, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Ngozi.
Fola, that particular pipe looks very dry.
Oh, man. I mean, we're talking about fuel price.
Fuel again.
As you can imagine.
We hope it doesn't get bad this time around.
I really hope so. Fingers crossed, Mike, honestly. Well, let's see what people are saying online, or some people at least. Hey, Africa's Fallen Giant says, is there anything good about power situation in Nigeria? Constant light with high tariff problems. No light with high petrol price problem. Alawade James Jumoke says, now that petrol is quarter the price of kerosene, who will bail Nigeria?
Good question from Jumoke.
Ibrahim Adejia says, he reduced the price of petrol in Nigeria from 75 naira to 70 naira and later from 70 naira to 65 naira. And the economy did not collapse. Hashtag Yaradua.
It reminds us of the times.
Olateju James says, I don't really know about the economy, but if I become Nigeria president, I will first reduce dollar rate to 100 naira and reduce fuel price to 70 naira.
Please make him president now. Make him president.
John Rudy says, if Mr. President wants to alleviate the problems, or the present suffering rather, and poverty in Nigeria, he should make fuel available at a reduced price. Tokumbo, let me come to you now. You know when the prices shot up to, or the price rather shot up to 145 naira, we thought, you know, Occupy Nigeria protests would break out again. But interestingly, that didn't happen. It seems people were a bit more understanding this time. If your fuel prices were to go up again, do you think that we might be as understanding as we have been thus far?
No, it's going to be a very serious problem for Nigerians if you have a new fuel hike this time. Look at the purchasing power of all Nigerians. It has dropped drastically. Everybody's affected. Everybody's lamenting. And what we need is, it is not a palliative measure government will be talking here and there. But the best solution is for Nigeria to have food on their table. So everybody's lamenting. To me, personally, I don't think fuel hike is the best option for now. If the government still need to go extra mile and get this product available for Nigerians at any house, it's better. If this is the only thing government will provide for Nigerians, it's better, because everybody's using for petrol. Everybody's generating electricity for themselves. I can only do that if this fuel is available. But if it is not available, know how you can generate power, and that the entire nation will be in total darkness.
Wow.
All right.
Very, very sad. Very depressing.
Well,
I really hope.
So we look forward to better days.
Yes, we do.
There's always hope.
Yeah, there is. Thank you
Don't
so
forget
much.
that.
Thank you.
All right, Tokumbo, let's come back to you on this. The product is not as available, and we've seen, like on our first report where we put Bima Searchlight in Sokoto, but the black marketers, talk to us about them. How do they get their products even when these things are not available?
See, the black marketers, you know, they are capitalists. They are into the business to make money. Some of them can travel to anywhere in the country to get the products at any cost, because they know when they get it to their destination, they will get the market there. And that's exactly what is happening. When somebody that's going to sell it on his meter in the filling station, because of the law enforcement agency, cannot even risk of buying any product above the pump price. But the black marketer will risk it. Now this is going to be a very good business, and a quick one for that matter. So what we are running away from in buying in Lagos, they can come to Lagos and pick. The transportation cost that is very high that everybody is not ready to go into, they can pay for the transportation and take it to Sokoto for that instance. And the Sokoto, because they don't have other alternatives, when the government product is available, at the filling station they cannot get it. And they still see, you know, Nigerians, we are not meant to suffer. Everybody will have to find a way out all the time. They will surely patronize them. So, and if government starts running after them, it's going to be unrealistic, because you are beating a child non-stop. You say that child should not cry. It's not possible.
All right, Tokumbo, just hold on. We'll have to go on a quick break at this point, and when we come back, we'll get more thoughts from you on this. Stay with us.
All right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast. We're discussing the oil price template in Nigeria. And we have with us Tokumbo Korodo joining us, and we've been talking about this since. Now, Tokumbo, before we went on break, we're talking about black marketers. Now, are you saying that because government has not provided the alternative, they should allow black marketers to rule the world as in the area of oil and petroleum?
Look, I'm not supporting them, but what I'm saying is that government should make this product available. When we have enough product in the system, you can never see their presence, the black marketers. But because we have a very short supply and we are seeing scarcity, and that is why some of them come back to business. It's very common in any society that everybody will have to make a big business when there is any opportunity of such. So government should not create opportunity for the black marketers. How? They need to make this product available, even as at Wendy.
And the question, I mean, I can imagine people in government already asking, so where do we get this fuel from to make it available to Nigerians? I recall some experts actually said last year when the whole issue of subsidy or no subsidy was on the front burner, some actually said, look, it's not even about government removing subsidy. According to government, they said that they will, well, let me just put it this way. Let me quote it correctly. Government did not necessarily say it was removing subsidy, but said petrol pricing would be based
in any society. That everybody will have to make a big business when there is any opportunity of such. So government should not create opportunity for the black marketers. How they need to make this product available, even as at Wendy.
And the question, I mean, I can imagine people in government already asking, so where do we get this fuel from to make it available to Nigerians? I recall some experts actually said last year when the whole issue of subsidy or no subsidy was on the front burner, some actually said, look, it's not even about government removing subsidy. According to government, they said that they will, well, let me just put it this way. Let me quote it correctly. Government did not necessarily say it was removing subsidy, but said petrol pricing would be based on price modulation template, based on two variables, crude oil price and, of course, Forex, that's the Naira to the dollar exchange rate. So what are we really talking about here? Has subsidy been removed at all? Was there subsidy in the first place? Or what exactly is in practice now?
Well, it is, as you said, it's a price modulation. I'm not saying if government removes subsidy, nobody will ever go back to government and said, and it's forest. So everybody, the market will have been open. Everybody will have been going on their businesses without putting weight on the government. But to me, I can say it's a partial subsidy removal or partial deregulation, let me put it that way. Because I cannot see where only government can only be the only person that bringing the product. And we have, with large number of Nigerians and with the way and manner, we depend on this fuel. It is not practicable. So government, I can't speak for government, rather speak for the marketers. But me, I can only provide any information that at our disposal that's also happening within the industry. Let me put it that way.
All right, Tokumbo, we know there are so many countries of the world, especially here in Africa, that don't have oil in their countries, but they don't go through the same thing we go through in Nigeria. South Africa, for instance, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and so on. Even Ghana, even though they've joined the oil-producing countries now, but in a very little way. But how come Nigeria's case is very different?
You know, you can't compare those countries with Nigeria. Look at our population. We are very, very huge. That is why we shouldn't pray for anything to happen that will make Nigerians move scatter or run out of the country. Because the enormous, the way and manner will depend on these products. Nigeria is a big market for all investors. And that is why everybody's looking for institutions that when we have a stable economy, they can invest in the country, especially in the oil and gas industry. So Nigeria can't be compared with anybody. So what we need, since we know and our leaders saw it and they said they can manage it, then they should provide such leadership.
You talked about partial deregulation. In charting a way forward, would you recommend a total deregulation of the petroleum sector? Will that be the way out?
Well, I said it, I'm not a policy maker, and I cannot even look, unless if we are called to contribute, then behind the door, everybody can contribute.
Yeah, but you are an insider. Like you, I want to use the word you used earlier on. You are an insider. You've seen the shortcomings. You've seen, you know how bad things are. You know how good things can be.
Yes.
So
the only thing I can advise, since government is not ready to open the industry, the downstream sector, then they should make forest available to these marketers. That is the fastest way to get out of this problem. Or, because if you say we are going to produce locally as we are contemplating, what about the unrest and the agitation in the Niger Delta area?
But there are people who will argue with you and say, look, how do we continue to make forex available for consumables, petrol, instead of maybe a manufacturing sector that, is a productive sector that can, by default, solve some of these problems that we see?
Most of these manufacturing companies will also make a do with petroleum products. So, as they are very important, likewise, the oil and gas industry. Only an NPC bringing in, and maybe that is what the government is practicing, that let us allow only NPC to do the job first. Let them be bringing, and let this marketer be distributing. Fine. Nobody kick against it. But for how long will NPC be the only importer of this product when we cannot produce locally to meet up our daily consumption?
All right, we were giving you information earlier on. The International Monetary Fund has divided all fuel subsidies into two main types, the pre-tax and the post-tax. The pre-tax subsidy reduces the energy costs to a level below the world price, adjusted for transportation costs. It can be done explicitly or implicitly. Now, the IMF compiled a list of countries that with pre-tax fuel subsidies, and Nigeria is one of them. Okay, so we practice pre-tax, which means what? Tokunbo Okorodo, can you shed some more light on that for us? And then again, I want you to speak to the fact that Kachiku talked about appropriate pricing framework policy in May of 2016. What impact has that had so far?
Me personally, I have not seen much impact. I can only see impact when I get to all the loading depot and I see them working effectively. That will also give me a serious belief that surely government is doing their best. That I've said it, their best is not enough for Nigeria for now.
So in general terms, government should either, because your recommendation now is that the forex should be made available, or NMPC should ensure that the refineries work.
That is the only fastest way. Because the scarcity is coming gradually to all states. And if it is not quickly curtailed, it can spread all over. That is my fear. Because I've noticed in the depot that there's a very drop sharp in our loading capacity. A depot that is loading above 400 trucks can only load up to 20 trucks in a day for petrol. The implication of that is very, very unimaginable.
All right, looks like
we
lost contact with Tokunbo Okorodo there. Hopefully we can reconnect with him before we go on to our next topic this morning, Tokunbo Okorodo. Well, if we don't, well, we'll just say thank you at this point then.
It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We have him back in there. All right. Now, Tokunbo, you talked about the population of Nigeria earlier on, and someone has said recently, an analyst said that the population of Nigeria should be a bargaining chip that Nigerian government should always use to better the lot of Nigerians. And this, when it comes to strategizing, when we have all of this, we don't seem to be taking advantage of that strategy. Rather, we see it as a burden sometimes.
Well, it shouldn't be a burden, and maybe our leadership need to be more proactive. Some of them just find themselves into the corridor of power without preparing for it. When they not get there, they start thinking of what to do to better the life of Nigerians. I think that one, we should jettison that kind of idea. When you are going for any political office, you should know and should have the knowledge of what we are going to face over there. And when you get there, you start implementing the policies you think can better the life of people that voted you into that office.
Tokumba Corridor, would you say that hoarding is a major factor when it comes to this play with the price of fuel at the pumps? Is there a major role that these people are playing, and why has it been difficult for government to actually dislodge this particular sector?
Well, I've said it. I said this government they are trying their best. And maybe their best is not yet enough. I can see the sincerity in most of what they are doing. And the only thing I think the government also still need to do is let them have more open policy, where before a decision is taken, then all stakeholders that need to be carried along, and also get their own input into it before the policy can be pronounced. Because when you miss any step and you start to come back and start readdressing it, then I think you may not have enough cooperation required from these so-called other stakeholders.
All right, Tokumba Okorodo, thank you very much for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Now we go on a break and then we come back to discuss our next topic. But don't forget that top of the hour, over time for the news update with Azizat.
Welcome back. You're watching TVC Breakfast. If you're just joining us, we've been looking at the role of the media in the war against insurgency that has come to the fore, especially with the latest brouhaha between the Nigerian military and
the army.
And the
military and the media.
Yes, you know, the question that's been asked over and over again is, well, some people have actually described the role of the media as a two-edged sword. One, on the one hand, you get to expose and reveal what the insurgents are doing, or terrorists, as if you like. But then again, on the other hand, we may just be giving them free publicity. That, you know, has a way of encouraging more people, young people especially, who may want to buy into the ideals of this terrorist.
You know, when you use the word two-edged sword, it really explains it, because there are times where, I remember when we used to, Abubakar Shekau of Boko Haram used to be on the news every day. He became a superstar. You know, and then there was a time, it wasn't deliberate, but there was a time it just went down.
Completely.
And then it seemed like the issue of Boko Haram had even gone to sleep.
And so you want to ask, ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Daesh, Boko Haram, and all the rest of them, will they be as powerful, in quote, as they are now if we, the media, talking about the media, don't report all of their actions? How does it influence what they do on a daily basis when they know that once they strike here, it'll be out there in the news? Well,
the point there is, but when it comes to reporting, certainly the media has to do its job.
Absolutely.
For that, there's no compromise. It's not negotiable. Now, how it is done is another thing.
Is a thing.
Because the how goes a long way to, you know, there's this perception thing. There's this perception phenomenon in the media where you report a story this way, people say it you report it this way, they see it in another way.
So the how is what we're going to try to find out this morning. How does the media draw the line